Thank you for joining me for this second part of this presentation, how Israel will serve Yahuwah our God. In the first part, we discussed the error that happened at the beginning of Israel, how Israel rejected Yahuwah to go and serve the gods of other nations, and Yahuwah in turn rejected our ancestors and scattered us among the nations to serve punishment until it's over. But after Yahuwah said that we will return back to the land and serve him, but we should go and first serve the gods, disgusting idols, but after we will return back and listen to him and serve him and observe his commandment that he gave to us. So Israel will serve Yahuwah, our God. So in this second part of this presentation, we are going to look at when will Israel serve Yahuwah? When will Israel serve Yahuwah? In the book of Revelation, chapter 7, verse 1 to 4, there it is written, "After this I saw 4 angels standing on the 4 corners of the earth, holding tight the 4 wings of the earth, so that no winds could blow on the earth, or on the sea, or on any tree. And I saw another angel ascending from the sunrise, having a seal of the living God. And he called with a loud voice to the 4 angels to whom it was granted to harm the earth and the sea, saying, So do not harm the earth or the sea or the trees, until after we have sealed the slaves of our God in their foreheads. And I heard the number of those who were sealed, 144,000 sealed out of every tribe of the sons of Israel." So yes, Israel will serve Yahuwah our God in the promised land after he has finished carrying out the judgment that he has foretold that will come upon the nations. For Yahuwah will display his power in order to save his people of Israel and gather them back from among the nations. So before this judgment unfolds, Yahuwah said he's going to seal his chosen servants that will serve him, that will return and serve him in the promised land. He will seal them for protection from the final judgment of destruction that will follow. So 144,000 servants of Yahuwah will be saved from all among the nations, from the 12 tribes of the sons of Israel. So after the final day of the final 2,000 years punishment on all Israel, that will be the final, after the final judgment on all the nations, the chosen ones of Israel, the 144,000, will return and serve the will of Yahuwah in the promised land. In the book of Matthew, chapter 24, verse 29 to 31, that is what Yahushua was referring to when he said, immediately after the tribulation of those days, said the sun will be darkened, and the moon will not give its light, and the stars will fall from heaven, and the powers of the heavens will be shaken. Then the sign of the Son of Man will appear in heaven, and all the tribes of the earth will be themselves in grief, and they will see the Son of Man coming on the clouds of the heavens with power and great glory. And he will send out his angels with a great trumpet sound, and they will gather his chosen ones together from the 4 winds, from one extremity of the heavens to the other extremity of the heaven. So immediately after the punishment that God imposed on his people of Israel ends, yes, after this 2 days tribulation on Israel, is when Yahuwah will do what? Gather back his chosen people of Israel, and they will return and serve him in the land. Yes, they will return and serve Yahuwah in the promised land. So, when the mountains of the house of Israel is established, in the book of Isaiah chapter 2 verse 1 to 3, there is written, "For this is what Isaiah the son of Amos saw concerning Judah and Jerusalem. In the final part of the days, the mountains of the house of Yahuwah will become firmly established above the top of the mountains, and it will be raised up above the hills, and to it all the nations will stream. And many peoples will go and say, Come and let us go up to the mountain of Yahuwah, to the house of the God of Jacob. And he will instruct us about his ways, and we will walk in his path. And the law will go out of Zion, and the word of Yahuwah out of Jerusalem." So the mountain of the house of Israel, which is the land of Israel, the promised land, will be highly established again above every other mountain. And Israel will serve Yahuwah in the land. And all the people of the nations will say, Come, let us go to the mountain of the house of Yahuwah, and he will instruct us in his ways. So, yes, Yahuwah's servants, the Israelites, will return back to the promised land, and they will establish again the mountain of Yahuwah in Zion, and all the nations will stream to it to learn about Yahuwah, the God of Israel. That is how we will serve our God, by rendering sacred service to him and building up his kingdom. In the book of Daniel chapter 2 verse 44, there it is written, "In the days of those kings, the God of heavens will set up a kingdom that will never be destroyed, and this kingdom will not be passed on to any other people. So he will crush and put an end to all these kingdoms, and it alone will stand forever." So God's kingdom will be established and restored back to Israel, and it will not be passed on to any other people, but rather it will stand and it will stand forever. So that is how we will serve our God. For we, the chosen ones of Israel, will return and rebuild and help rebuild the kingdom of our God, for all nations to come and learn the laws of Yahuwah. In the book of Isaiah chapter 66 verse 20, there it is written, "They will bring all your brothers out of all the nations as a gift to Yahuwah, on horses, in chariots, in covered wagons, on mules, and on swift camels, up to my holy mountains, Jerusalem, says Yahuwah, just as when the people of Israel bring their gift in a clean vessel into the house of Yahuwah." So yes, Israel will return back to the promised land, and they will occupy it, and they will establish it, and other nations will come and learn from Israel how to worship and to serve the God that made the heavens and the earth. That is how Israel will serve Yahuwah when the mountains of the house of Israel is established again. How we will serve our God. In the book of Isaiah 61 verse 6 is written, "As for you, you will be called the priests of Yahuwah. They will call you the ministers of God, of our God. So you will eat the resources of the nations, and about their glory you will boast." So yes, Israel will take back possession, our possession, and our inheritance as the chosen race, as a royal priesthood of Yahuwah, as a holy nation, to serve Yahuwah in the promised land. Israel will take back their position as the chosen race, a royal priesthood, a chosen people to serve and render sacred service to Yahuwah our God. So no longer will any other people speak in the name and authority of God except his chosen servants of Israel. So the remaining ones of the nations will have to see, would have seen and know that God is with us. After our God has done what he has to do by displaying his power, by judging the earth and cutting it short, they will know that yes, God is with us. They will know who the true prophets of God are. That is how we will serve our God as a holy people, a holy nation, a royal priesthood, to represent and to serve the will of Yahuwah in all the earth. The book of Deuteronomy chapter 7 verse 6, there it is written, "For you are a holy people to Yahuwah your God, and Yahuwah your God has chosen you to become his people, his special property out of all the peoples who are on the face of the earth." In the book of 1 Peter chapter 2 verse 9 is written, "But you are a chosen race, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, a people for special possession, that you should declare abroad the excellencies of the one who called you out of darkness into his wonderful light." So yes, the chosen ones of Israel, his special property, will serve as a holy nation to Yahuwah. They will return, and they are the ones that will declare abroad the excellencies of Yahuwah. That is how we will serve our God, as his special property, to live in the land that he promised to our ancestor Abraham and his descendants to inherit forever. So that is how we will serve our God. We will build up his kingdom. Yahushua, our leader, will receive the remaining ones of the nations as an inheritance, and ends of the earth as his possession. The chosen ones of Israel will take possession of the remaining ones of the nations. Yes, after Yahuwah has finished judging the nations and bringing it low and cutting it short, the remaining ones of the nations will become an inheritance of Yahushua, our King. Yes, the chosen ones of Israel will take possession of the remaining ones of the nations. In the book of Psalms chapter 2 verse 8, there it is written, "Ask me and I will give the nations as your inheritance, and the ends of the earth as your possession." So Yahuwah will receive the nations, the ends of the earth, as his possession to rule over. The book of Daniel, chapter 7, verse 22, there is written, "Until the Ancient of Days came, and judgment was rendered in favor of the holy ones of the Supreme One, and the appointed time arrived for the holy ones to take possession of the kingdom." So the holy ones of Israel will take possession of the kingdom of God that will be established again in Zion. And they will rule the earth. For in the book of Isaiah chapter 54 verse 3, there it is written, "For you will spread out to the right and to the left. Your offspring will take possession of the nations, and they will inhabit the desolate cities." Yes, the offspring of Israel will take possession of the nations, the remaining ones of the nations. In the book of Amos, chapter 9, verse 11 to 12, there is written, "In that day I will raise up the boat of David that is fallen. I will repair the breaches, and I will restore its ruins. I will rebuild it as in the days of long ago, so that they may take possession of what is remaining of Edom, and all the nations on whom my name has been called, declares Yahuwah, who is doing this." So Israel, the chosen ones of the 144,000, will take possession of the remaining ones of Edom and all the nations on whom the name of our God has been called. We are all Israel, we are scattered. In the book of Genesis chapter 17 verse 7, it's written, "And I will keep my covenant between me and you and your offspring after you throughout their generations for an everlasting covenant, to be God to you and to your offspring after you. And I will give you and your offspring after you the land in which you lived as a foreigner, the entire land of Canaan, for a lasting possession, and I will be their God." So Israel will take possession and in charge of all the inhabited earth, including the promised land of Canaan. All the places that our feet touch will become the possession of Israel. For that is the covenant that Yahuwah made with Abraham and to his chosen offspring. So Israel will still have to return and serve Yahuwah our God in his promised land. The remaining ones of the nations. The book of Zechariah chapter 8 verse 20 to 23, there is written, "This is what Yahuwah of armies says, it will yet come to pass that peoples and the inhabitants of many cities will come, and the inhabitants of one city will go to the inhabitants of another and say, Let us earnestly go to beg the favor of Yahuwah and to seek Yahuwah of armies. I am also going. And many peoples and mighty nations will come to seek Yahuwah of armies in Jerusalem and to beg for the favor of Yahuwah. This is what Yahuwah says of armies says. In those days, 10 men out of every language of the nations will take hold. Yes, they will take firm hold of the robe of a Jew, saying, We want to go with you, for we have heard that God is with you people. Yes, the remaining 10 men out of every language will go with the chosen ones of Israel to seek Yahuwah and to serve him. Yes, after Yahuwah has finished doing what he will do on earth in order to sanctify his name, to display his power, and to gather back his chosen ones of Israel, the remaining 10 men out of every language will choose to go with the people of Israel to go and seek the favor of Yahuwah and to serve Yahuwah, the living God. There will be no doubt as to who the living God is after Yahuwah finished carrying out what he said he will carry out. There will be no doubt as to who his chosen ones are after Yahuwah finished his final judgment on the earth. How will we serve our God? Yes, we will serve our God by giving exclusive devotion to Yahuwah, and justice is what all will pursue. In the book of Exodus chapter 20 verse 1 to 5, there it is written, "Then God spoke all these words, I am Yahuwah your God who brought you out of the land of Egypt, out of the land of house of slavery. So you must not have any other God beside me. So you must not make for yourself a carved image or a form like anything that is in the heavens above or on the earth below or in the waters under the earth. You must not bow down to them nor be enticed to serve them. For I, Yahuwah your God, I am a God who requires exclusive devotion, bringing punishment for the errors of fathers upon sons, upon the third generation and upon the fourth generation of those who hate me." So Yahuwah, our God, deserves and requires exclusive devotion. And we will serve our God after the chosen ones of Israel, are gathered back to the promised land. And we will give our God, Yahuwah, exclusive devotion. No longer will we serve other gods of the nations, the disgusting idols of the nations, and false gods given to us while we are scattered among the nations. In the book of Deuteronomy chapter 16 verse 20, there is written, "Justice, justice you should pursue, so that you may keep living and take possession of the land that Yahuwah your God is giving you." So we will seek and pursue justice, and justice doing what is right. And who deserve our worship except our God, the one that would have saved us, the one that has always served Israel. He deserves our exclusive devotion, and we are going to give justice and serve Yahuwah our God alone and no other God. And we will seek justice, what is right among our neighbors, among our fellow men. So worship belongs to Yahuwah our God alone and not to any other God. Justice is when we give him the devotion belonging to him alone. That is justice. When we give our God exclusive devotion and no other God. But the chosen ones of Israel, all we know Yahuwah, and all will worship Yahuwah and give him the exclusive devotion. That is how we will serve our God in the promised land when our punishment is over. For Yahuwah said we will return to this land and we will render to him sacred service. Yes, exclusive devotion to Yahuwah and justice is what we will pursue. In the book of Zechariah chapter 14 verse 17 to 21 is written, "But if anyone among the families of the earth does not go up to Jerusalem to bow down to the King, Yahuwah of armies, then no rain will fall on them. And if the families of Egypt, for example, does not come up and does not come in, so they will have no rain. Instead, they will have the scourge with which Yahuwah scourges the nations that do not come up to celebrate the festival of the booths. So this will be the punishment for the sins of Egypt and the sins of all the nations that do not come up to celebrate the festival of booths. In that day, the words, 'Holiness belongs to Yahuwah,' will be written on the bells of the horses, and the cooking pots in the house of Yahuwah will be like the bowls before the altar, and every cooking pot in Jerusalem and in Judah will be holy, and will belong to Yahuwah of armies. And all those who are sacrificing will come in and use some of them for boiling. In that day, there will no longer be a Canaanite in the house of Yahuwah of armies." So yes, exclusive devotion is what all will pursue, even the peoples of the nations that will survive. At the appointed time, Yahuwah will require that all come to the festivals and bow down and worship Yahuwah our King. And if any of the families of the earth did not come, say no rain will fall for them, and Yahuwah will scourge them with the scourge with which he scourged the nations. And he says those that the cooking pot in Jerusalem, that is the people of Israel that will live and serve Yahuwah in Israel, they will be a holy people, a clean people. And other nations will come and use them to make sacrifice to Yahuwah, or just like Zechariah said, 10 men will take the hold of the one that is a Jew or an Israelite and go with them, because they will be a people chosen to serve Yahuwah in his holy mountain. That is how we will serve Yahuwah our God, giving him exclusive devotion and justice. So we will rebuild the ancient ruins. In the book of Amos chapter 9 verse 11 to 12 there is written, "In that day I will raise up the boat of David that is fallen. I will repair the breaches, and I will restore its ruins. I will rebuild it as in the days of long ago, so that they may take possession of the remaining of what is remaining of Edom, and all the nations on whom my name has been called, declares Yahuwah, who is doing this. I will gather back the captives of my people Israel, and they will rebuild the desolate cities and inhabit them. They will plant vineyards and drink their wine, and make gardens and eat their fruits." Yes, Yahuwah said he's going to rebuild what? The house of David that has fallen. And he said he will gather back the captives of his people Israel, and they will return and serve Yahuwah. And they will do what? Plant vineyards and drink the wine, and make gardens and eat their fruits. They will rebuild the desolate cities and inhabit them. So, yes, the chosen ones of Israel will still return and rebuild the kingdom of our God in the promised land. In the book of Isaiah chapter 61 verse 4 to 5, there is written, "They will build the ancient ruins. They will raise up the desolate places of the past, and they will restore the devastated cities, the places that lay desolate for generations after generations. So strangers will stand and shepherd your flock, and foreigners will be your farmers and your vine dressers." Yes, Israel will return and take possession of the promised land, and they will rebuild it. And strangers and foreigners will come, and they will walk. Yes, they will walk to help establish and to build up the kingdom of our God. So Israel will serve Yahuwah with rejoicing and observing his laws. In the book of Jeremiah, chapter 31, verse 3 to 5, there is written, "From far away Yahuwah appeared to me and said, I have loved you with an everlasting love. So that is why I have drawn you to me with loyal love. Yet again I will rebuild you, and you will be rebuilt, O Virgin of Israel. So you will again take up your tambourines and go for dancing joyfully. So you will again plant vineyards in the mountains of Samaria. The planters will plant and enjoy their fruits." So Yahuwah said, He has loved you, Israel, the people of Israel. And that is why He has drawn you with what? With loyal love. That is why He said He will rebuild you, O people of Israel. And you will again take up your tambourine and go forth dancing. Because Yahuwah will show favor to Jacob and will again choose Israel. So in the book of Isaiah chapter 60 verse 21, there is written, "And all your people will be righteous. They will possess the land forever. So they are the sprout that I planted, the works of my hands, for me to be beautified." So yes, Yahuwah, the chosen ones of Israel, will serve Yahuwah our God in all the earth with rejoicing. Israel will yet serve Yahuwah. Even though there was an error at the beginning that caused Israel not to serve Yahuwah. But after our punishment is over, Yahuwah will gather back His chosen ones, and He will restore them back to the promised land. And there we will serve our God with rejoicing. There we will give our God exclusive devotion. There we will seek justice, and justice to serve our God with all our heart. Yes, the chosen ones of Israel will take possession of the earth, and the remaining ones of all the nations. Our leader Yahushua will lead us to serve our God and to do the will of our God. So that is how Israel will serve our God. The question is, will you be among the ones chosen to return back to the promised land? And you will, if you start seeking Yahuwah your God for His mercy and for Him to choose you to be among the ones that He will bring back to the land. Until I come to you next time, remain blessed and keep seeking Yahuwah, for our God, for mercy and for his guidance. Again, thank you.